Happy New Year, guys, and how's it going? So I haven't made a video in a while, just kind of been lazy in all honesty. But as you can see, I have the old mudslide behind me, my 2002 Chevy Avalanche. And in today's video, I kind of wanted to go over what it's taking to keep this thing on the road. So it has 255,000 miles on it now. I bought it with 215, so I put on a decent amount of those. Well, not in relation to 200,000 miles, but I put on some. Anywho's, so I wanted to go ahead and kind of go over like what I've had to do to this thing, and since I got it, and what's all done to it and everything like that. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get into that, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So as you can see, it's a little covered in mud right now. I didn't realize this area was going to be as muddy as it is. Should have known. It's the wintertime here in North Carolina, so it means a lot of crap and everything. But I'll throw some videos of me leaving this area, and you'll see what I mean. I'm actually kind of impressed. So I'm gonna hit the big things that were issues when I first bought this truck. So the big thing that I had a problem with was there was massive oil leak coming out of the bottom. It would go through about a quart every 1,500 miles or so. The four-wheel drive gearing in the rear, well, the gearing in the rear was a 456 and the front was a 373, so four-wheel drive didn't work. And the paint was in pretty atrocious shape, so I didn't want to spend much money on that, so I went ahead and put on a spray paint job, which I actually think came out pretty well. There's a few bits and spots here that are weren't prepped as perfect as they could have been, so they have a few little chips there, but honestly, overall, it's worlds better than it was, and it's pretty good. So those are the two big issues. To fix the oil leak, I did all the seals in the motor except for the front timing cover. I haven't done that yet. It has a small leak, it's not bad, but I did the rear main seal, and I did the valve covers, valley pan, and all that stuff. I had a rear brake caliper blow out on me, so one day, thankfully it was right before I was leaving to go to work in my neighborhood. I started going down the road, I hit the brake and my foot went straight to the floor, barely stopped, and I realized that my caliper had gone, so all the pressure was going out that one line. So a brake caliper. In all honesty, not that bad. There's my dog, he's just walking around right now. But aesthetically, I went ahead and did tow mirrors, I did 2-inch wheel spaces on the back, and the paint job. That's really about it. It sits on a 6-inch lift from FabTech, and other than that, really, it's about all she's got going for her, but she's looking pretty good. And then I also did tow mirrors because I towed a trailer a while ago, that towing video where I was pulling the camper, and I found out I can't see anything with the regular mirrors that came on this, so I went ahead and did tow mirrors. I actually do a decent amount of towing with this truck. I usually tow other vehicles for people if they need it, and it tows great. Although I will say it looks a lot stronger than it really is, because on this wheel and tire configuration and everything, it looks pretty beefy, like a 2500, it can pull whatever. However, when you see this thing in the stock configuration, I'll throw in a picture, it does not look like it'd be able to tow much, but it can. This has the 5.3 liter V8 Vortec in it, LS platform, I guess, and it's been really reliable for me. And again, this thing is at 255,000 miles, which I think is pretty impressive. So, all in all, I think this was definitely worth it, for me anyway, for purchasing it. I got this truck, primarily one, because I wanted a truck, and two, I really wanted to learn on something that wasn't like crazy expensive. So I spent $2,000 for this thing, and I've probably put about maybe $700 worth of work into it. Not as far as like labor work, I mean as far as parts, $700 worth of parts. So for $2,700, I have a fully functional truck right here, and it's done great. I've taken it to New Jersey and back, which from here is about 700 miles one way. No hiccups there. And then I've also done a good amount of towing with it. Towed from Virginia down to here with North Carolina, another 400 miles. I mean, like, I've done long trips with this thing, so I trust it. Like, I don't have any problems with it. However, this is where it gets interesting. I went ahead and calculated up the labor estimates for all of the stuff. Now, the big thing was the rear main seal would have been a lot, and the oil pan gasket also racked, and those are both almost $1,000 each. But I've saved myself over $5,000 worth of labor that would have gone into this vehicle. So that's kind of why, that's the risk you take with getting a high mileage vehicle. If you don't know how to work on your own stuff, or don't want to learn how to work on your own stuff, then it's absolutely not worth it, because it would have been a $10,000 vehicle by the time you've had all the parts and labor thrown into this thing. So that's just kind of, I wanted to give you guys my overall experience with it so far, and it's been great. it does need a few things. I've been chasing down a knock sensor issue for a while now. I replaced the harness. Well, originally what happened was when I was doing my Valley Pan cover, I popped off the intake manifold. When I put it back on, I crushed the original harness there. So pulled it off, bought new knock sensors, bought new harness. Knock sensors I bought were messed up because they were just a cheap brand. My bad. I wasn't paying attention when I was buying stuff. I thought I got better quality ones. Didn't. Put the new harness on, put the old knock sensors back in because I trusted those, and then I got a code for the rear knock sensor not reading. So I'm pretty sure I just replaced out my my harness plug because I'm pretty sure it wasn't reading right. We'll see if it goes away. If not, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's one knock sensor and it hasn't been running poorly or haven't heard any knock coming from it. So I'm going to keep working on it, but it's not a huge priority for me, if that makes sense. And then other than that, I also did, sorry, I'm trying to think. I also did the, there's no cats in it, so I have two O2 sensor codes for not having cats in the truck. I got some O2 emulator like plugs that go on the end of your O2 sensors. They absolutely did not work, so whoops. They're like 12 bucks on eBay. If you look up O2 emulator, they'll probably pop up. I wouldn't suggest them, so I'm either gonna have to get cats for this thing or find a state that doesn't do emissions when this thing comes around, which is coming up in the next 3 or 4 months or so. So I have some time to figure it out. But other than that, though, I mean, that's really everything that I've had to put into this truck up until now. I have an actual maintenance list I'm going to put down in the description if you want to see everything. It's pretty extensive because there's a lot of small stuff that really I didn't deem worthy of throwing in here. But there is a lot of like small things. It's a pretty extensive list. And then as far as oil, I'm running AMSOIL. There's a link in the description as well for an AMSOIL website if you need to go through a dealer. And they also, you can get a code if you hook up with their programs. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's the customer something program or whatever, but it works. It comes out to about 50 bucks an oil change, which really isn't that bad for full synthetic, and I like it. The site, by the way, is Lubrication Dynamics, but I'll put it down in the description as well anyway. So last time I was in this spot was probably about 8 or 9 months ago, and I laid out a bunch of stuff that I wanted to do to this truck, and at this point I think I can say I've almost completed everything. The only thing that so my original list was a paint job, stop the oil leaks, headlights, taillights, and that was really the big things. I want to do tow mirrors and some other stuff. So as you can see, I did the tow mirrors, I did the paint job, I cleaned up the front headlights. They actually look pretty good now. They were pretty foggy when I first bought it. I haven't done the fog yet. I have to do that still. This one's, for some reason, is dirty, and then this one has water condensation in it, so I need to take care of that. For the paint, I went ahead and did a Walmart just Rust-Oleum gray paint, and it came out great with a flat primer, or with a flat clear on top of it, sanding and all the prep work. The tow mirrors are from ECC. They came out great. Same with the rear spacers. They also, I mean, I've had no problems. They're just the aluminum spacers. There's nothing crazy about that. So if I do tow a lot heavier things, like if I had to go back and tow something that's closer to the limit of this truck, like around 7,000 pounds, I'd probably take them off just to be safe. The truck actually sits completely level. It is a little bit weird because this angle I'm on right now, but it's good there. Never did taillights. Honestly, at this point, I just didn't see a point. I might tint them in the future, but for right now, like, they really don't bother me that much. It's a taillight, you know what I mean? But other than that, guys, like, that's pretty much it. I plan to keep the truck alive as long as I can. If the 5.3 dies, I'll just probably buy another one. They're like 500 bucks on Facebook Marketplace, or just rebuild this one depending on how it goes. And then the 4L60E transmission, I went ahead and did a transcooler. That was something that I think every 4L60E needs, is a transcooler. And that brought the temps down from around 200, which is crazy for not towing anything, just driving around, down to around about, in this weather, it's been about 100 degrees, 115. In the summer, it gets up to maybe 150 max. Pretty much running no cats. There's initial cat, secondary cat on, and then a Flowmaster. I believe it's a 40 muffler, but it sounds pretty good. Not too loud, not too crazy. So Now that we're in the cockpit, welcome to 2002. That's about all we got. We're doing neutral, throw her in 4 high. There we go. Alright, so to be honest, that wasn't even bad. This one was, I already came through on the way in, so we're about to hit it on the way out. I'm trying to get you guys a good angle real quick. But I mean, honestly, I took it pretty much like a champ. I'm just gonna go and set this thing up real quick, and then we'll be good. Getting a little muddy. Look at that. That's gross. Problem with North Carolina is everything's like slick mud. Nothing's stable to grab onto at the bottom. As soon as you start slipping, you're just gonna dig. So if you don't keep going, not gonna make it. I've seen many trucks get stuck that way. Alrighty, so I'm not gonna film this last one as I was saying. We're just gonna go ahead and send it. Hell yeah, no problem. All right, so we just got back home from that. I'm gonna go ahead and give her a wash real quick. Well, that's one side done pretty much. Missed a few spots here and there. But, yeah, she's looking pretty good again. Although, the driveway is not so much, so wife might not be super happy about that. That's alright, though. That's what chocolates are for. And I'm going to finish cleaning up this truck real quick, and then I'll go ahead and talk about a couple other things afterwards. Alrighty, so back home. The truck's all cleaned up. As you can see, I went ahead and got rid of most of the dirt that was underneath it, so it looks a little nicer in the old driveway here. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. I kind of wanted to just go over some of the highlights with the Avalanche and what I think of it. Not necessarily like a review, but just based on maintenance and what I've had to do. So, to kind of recap a little bit, big things. I did forget to mention this. I also did ball joints. But the things that have gone out of me that are legit problems and needed to get fixed: rear main seal, valve cover seals, and valley pan cover seals on the top side. The trans cooler needed to get done really bad. Probably saved this transmission. Rear brake caliper went out on me. And I mean, there's really not much more than that when it comes down to it. All the other stuff is just small and a lot of labor intensive things. For instance, oil pan seal was another one. That was a big one. But like, for a lot of this stuff, you got to pull a lot of stuff off the truck to get to it. So, oil pan seal, pretty much the entire front end had to come off in order to get to it. Like, the front diff had to come out, like all that stuff. So, when you're getting a high mileage vehicle, just keep in mind that although the initial price is cheap, it's cheap for a reason, and you're going to have to put work into it no matter what way you do or what you do about it. So, do I regret it? Absolutely not. This truck's been worth it, and I got this knowing I needed to do that primarily as a learning platform, because I wanted something, not the Shelby, but something that is expendable, and a $2,000 price tag isn't that bad. And if I really break it, then, I mean, it's the worst that can happen that I can imagine is if the engine blows up, the trans goes out. They're pretty cheap. They're all over Facebook Marketplace for replacement 4L60E or 5.3. So it's not that bad. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.